I started pacing and I was thinking and I was thinking and I was trying to make all these connections. What is it? Like Nipsey Hussle and the party, and was I, supposed to go to a party, and how is it all connected? And I just was like, brrr. So I decided to go to the movies, which was something that I did like, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times a week around that time, because it was the one place that I could get my thoughts to turn off, that I could just be in a dark room and watch someone else's story on the screen. So I went to the movies, and afterward I went and sat at this little wine bar outside of the movie theater, and it was late and I was the only one there. And I just started Googling his name, the man who attacked me, his name, and Arizona. And nothing came up. And then I Googled his name and Phoenix, Arizona, and I got a hit, like I saw his name and it was all these addresses. Saw his most recent address, which was in Los Angeles. And then I saw his last address, which was in Surprise, Arizona, and that he had moved to Los Angeles in 2011. I called the detective and I freaked out and I was like, it was Surprise, Arizona, and it was in 2011, and that's when I moved here. And he was like, I know. I needed you to come do it on your own. And let me know if you remember anything else. I said, can you tell me anything why? Like, why are you asking these questions? Where did this come from? Said, I can't tell you everything. What I can tell you is that someone wrote a letter to the DA's office, and they are in daily contact with the man who attacked me. And they wrote a 6-page letter that has information in it that we are investigating and that we are looking into. And that was where he was driving that day, was to talk to this person. That's all that I can tell you. I'm sorry. So I went home that night, and, there were all these unanswered questions in my head, and it stayed that way for how long? I think a little over 2 years. So flash forward to fall of 2020. There's a lot more things that happen in there that I'll tell you guys about, of course, but for the purpose of this information, the stalking piece and how this started to take shape, we're about to go to trial. And I think to myself, like, this is the time. This is when I'm going to get to finally read this letter. This letter's going to come out. I knew that he wasn't charged for stalking. They had discussed that with me beforehand, that they had been investigating, but that was just, they already had 2 charges that they were charging him with that could carry a life sentence. So they felt like they had already kind of hedged their bets, and they felt confident in getting that conviction. And I'll do a post about like what his charges were and what he was convicted of. But I knew he wasn't being charged for stalking, but I still thought, if someone wrote this letter into the DA's office saying, you need to hear this about this man, that this letter was going to come up in the evidence. We get through the trial and no mention of the letter. The letter never comes up. About a week after the trial is over, I finally get a chance to read this letter. I've never let anyone read the letter. I have pictures of it, and I've never shared it. I don't want to share who the person was that wrote it, because I worry about like their safety and making sure that they're safe. But I do think there's pieces of this letter that I can show you guys. Also, the whole letter is a little bit like, there's stuff in there that's just eerie about him with other things. I'll do a separate post that's all about this letter, and I'll show you pieces of it that started to really fill out this picture for how long he had been watching and things that he had admitted to. When it came to me, and then I think more disturbingly when it came to potentially other women. I know that's a lot to digest, and I hope that I'm like giving you guys enough information to follow along so that you feel like you're not like, wait, what? Like, and then what? It is a little bit like that, but I'm gonna keep posting more information and answering you guys' questions. I'll do a full post about the letter. And I'm gonna start digging into too, like once we get there, like the road to getting to trial, because for me, I felt very lost going through that process. I was like, I thought we were gonna go to trial like as soon as I got out of the hospital. And it was not, it was a long, hard road, and it took a lot of pushing from my end, and it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of energy from the detective and from, like the DA's office. And it just was a very huge effort to get there that took a very long time. This is just kind of like, I have a lot more things to say, and we have done kind of our own digging. So I'll share more about that, but I know you guys were wondering this, like, how do you know that he was watching you for that long? Because that's, I find to be the scariest part. Um, so I'll keep sharing more, but that I wanted to let you guys know, like this was the breadcrumbs that led us on this path.